Went ahead and had the reading start back at verse 1. Verses 1 through 6 of Proverbs 1 are the introduction to the book. Solomon tells us who he is, and he tells us what he is doing. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to discern the sayings and the understandings. Go back to 1 Kings chapter 3. David has died and Solomon is being appointed king. And it says in verse 5 that in Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream at night. And God said, "Ask what you wish me to give you." Familiar story. Solomon is a young man, and God basically is asking him, if I write you a blank check, what are you going to fill in? What are you going to put in the blank as your request? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be long life? Is it going to be extended power? And Solomon in verse 9 says, "Give thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, to discern between good and evil, for who is able to judge this great people of mine?" So Solomon, with already a measure of wisdom, said, I need more. I need the ability to be the king that you want me to be. I'm going to have to make decisions, and I'm not sure yet that I am ready to make those decisions. And so God responds to that in verses 10 through 12. It was pleasing in the sight of the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. Because you have asked this thing and have not asked for yourself long life, nor have asked for riches for yourself, nor have asked for the life of your enemies, but you have asked for discernment to understand justice, behold, I have done according to your words. Behold, I have given you a wise and discerning heart, so that there has been no one like you before, nor shall one like you arise after you. The reason I want to go back and tie 1 Kings 3 to Proverbs 1 is so that we understand why Solomon has the right, why Solomon needs to write the book of Proverbs. Why he has the right to say, I am writing a book about wisdom. I'm writing a book about knowledge. I'm writing a book about understanding. It's because God gave him that ability. And with that ability came the responsibility to share that. So that's why the book of Proverbs comes about. Is because Solomon asked for wisdom and God granted it. God gave him wisdom beyond those before him, beyond those after him. And we see it fulfilled before 1 Kings chapter 3 ever ends. We see his first public decision in reference to the battle over this single child and two mothers claiming the child. And it says in verse 28, when Israel heard of the judgment which the king had handed down, they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. Then in chapter 4, verse 29, it says, God gave Solomon wisdom and great discernment and breadth of mind like the sand that is on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom surpassed the wisdom of all the sons of the east, all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than all men. Verse 32, 3,000 proverbs, 1,000 songs. And he spoke of all of these things. And men, verse 25, came from all the peoples to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all the kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. And so Solomon asks, God approves and grants, and then we begin to see the fruit of this prayer. So again, connected to Proverbs 1, that's why he can write a book that shares, starting in verse 2 of Proverbs 1, instruction in wise behavior, righteousness, justice, equity, to give prudence to the naive, to the youth knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase in learning. A man of understanding will acquire wise counsel, to understand a proverb and a figure, the words of the wise and their riddles. And so he's writing a book as we go down into the text that we're going to use to connect to this morning. He is writing a book that is designed to help direct our steps, to help us make the right decisions, to help us be people of understanding, people who are no longer naive after we read it, but have increased in wisdom and in understanding. And in verse 7, it's good for us. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And so we go to the book with an understanding that we are not where we need to be yet. And we fear God because of that. We awe Him. We respect Him. And that is the beginning of this process. Yet He said it's fools that despise wisdom and instruction. And then He addresses His Son. So notice He's mentioned the naive. He's mentioned youth. Now He addresses His child. He is writing a book that allows wisdom to be passed from generation to generation. It is becoming generational knowledge, generational wisdom, the ability to make good decisions based on the evidence. So if you're going to write that book, and you're going to address it to your child, and you're going to draw your child in and have him, in a sense, sit on your knee and listen to you, give the wisdom of God to him, where do you start? Hear, my son, your father's instructions. You begin with reminding your child who the Father is, and that He has the right to share wisdom with you because He has developed it over the years. That He is a wise man, and all the world is looking to Him as a wise man. So as His son, you should see Him that way too. Do not forsake your mother's teaching. So learn these things young. At the very beginning of this book and all of the things he's going to write, he says, learn these things at a young age and hold on to them. They are a graceful wreath to your head and an ornament about your neck. You want to be beautiful in this world? You want to be beautiful in God's eyes? You want to be attractive in a way that matters? Wear wisdom. Wear understanding. Make good decisions. Learn it early and hold on to it. All right, son, I have your attention. I have you sitting on my knee and you are listening. I have your undivided attention. What is the first thing I'm going to tell you? If sinners entice you, do not consent. So back to where we were this morning. And I'm talking to all of us of every age, but especially to our younger people. Run for your life when the people around you are trying to pull you away from the path. Run for your life when they are trying to draw you away from God. Paul tells Timothy, flee. Literally, the word there means run. Move away physically. And it's a priority now thing. When they entice you, not when it's too late, not when you've dabbled in it, when the enticement comes in the very beginning, run for your life. Priority now. Escape before it is too late. So same thing we're saying this morning. It's not that we're avoiding people in the world that we need to reach. It's not that we're being ugly. It is not that we are not trying to reach them. It's not that we're not trying to help when they need help. Watch the rest of the text. This is about saving our lives. This is about saving our souls. Our spiritual lives are at risk when we dabble in the world. So watch the rest of it. Don't be part of their sinfulness. Don't be part of their plans. Don't be part of their lives. Verse 11. So we've said, run for your life. If they say to you, so when they come to you, and you can tell by their actions, or you can tell by their plans, or you can tell by their words that they're not on the same spiritual path you were on, You're going to run. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without cause. They are bloodthirsty. They are violent. They are willing to hurt those who have done nothing to deserve it. And they have the intention of, as they're doing this, getting rich. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, even whole as those who go down to the pit. We will find all kinds of precious wealth. We shall fill our homes with spoil. He said they are going to give away their plans. You're going to be able to tell the direction that they are trying to pull you. And they're trying to lead you down a path that is violent, a path that is selfish, a path of destruction towards others, a path that hurts the innocent, and it's about earthly gain. It is about what can this world give me. And go all the way back to where we were in 1 Kings 3. Solomon had the blank check. He could have made it about himself. He could have made it about the wealth. He could have made it about the power. So wisdom moves away from desiring the things of this world in and of themselves just to have them. Wisdom sees them as a blessing. Wisdom sees them as a responsibility. Wisdom sees them as a way to help in God's world. But that's not these people. Everything is evil in their intent. Verse 14, throw in your lot with us. We shall have one purse. It's the title on top of my page. It's what I told Marty when he asked. It's what I told Marcus when he became the pinch hitter tonight. What is the saying? There is no honor among thieves. If you put in with people who say, let's put it all in the same bag, they have absolutely no intention of you getting anything out of the bag. All right, there is no honor. Whoever is the most bloodthirsty, whoever is the most violent, whoever is willing to hurt the most gets the bag in the end. When Satan entices us through the friendships that we make with this world, it is not so that we can get anything out of it. It is so that he can destroy us. We cannot be the winner when we marry ourselves to the world. There's no honor among thieves. It's not going to be good for us in the end. Verse 15, what we've been saying all along, my son, do not walk in the way. Don't even spend time with them in such a way that they're the influence. Do not walk the path with them. Keep your feet from their path. You want to reach the world, get them off that path. You want to reach the world, have them walk with you, not the other way around. Friendships based on sin and that commonality, look at the rest of the reading, destroy. Their feet run to evil. They hasten to shed blood. It's absolutely worthless, he said, to spread the net right in front of the bird while he's watching you. They lie. Notice how this ends for them. And if we throw in our lot with the world, how it ends for us. They lie in wait for their own blood. They're going to pay the price for what they're doing. They ambush their own lives. So are the ways of everyone who gains by violence. It takes away the life of its possessors. The end result for the world is destruction. they will ultimately pay the price before God. That is repeated almost from day one in Scripture to the very end of the book. And Solomon is warning us that if we throw in our lot with theirs, the same result is ours. It will destroy us. It will pull us away from our center. It will take us away from the path that we are supposed to be walking. Go back to the book of 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 12. Listen to me. Make sure you get all this connection. Who wrote Proverbs 1? Solomon. Wrote it to whom? My son. 1 Kings chapter 12, Solomon dies. Who is supposed to take the throne? His son. Son, I've given you words of wisdom about how you interact with the world. So 1 Kings chapter 12. Then Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all of Israel had come there to make him king. Now Jeroboam, who had been banned, the son of Nebat, the one that's going to split the kingdom with him, heard it. He'd been living in Egypt, so he's coming back. Then they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the assembly of Israel came and spoke to Rehoboam. All right, Rehoboam, you have an opportunity now that you can keep the entire kingdom together rather than the prophecy coming true. Your father made our yoke hard. Lighten the hard service of your father. Lighten his heavy yoke which he put on us, and we will serve you. All right, Rehoboam said, all right, you know what? I'll take that into advisement. So give me 3 days. I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to decide what kind of king I want to be. And so he begins to call in advisors to get their take on the situation. And King Rehoboam consulted with the elders who had served his father Solomon while he was alive. Who had the right in Proverbs 1 to pass on wisdom? The older gray-haired that had been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, that understood. How do you counsel me to answer this people? With wisdom, insert there, they spoke to him saying, if you will be a servant to the people today, will serve them, grant them their petition, speak good words to them, they will be your servants forever. You can keep this entire kingdom, and they will bow before you, and they will gladly serve you. Listen to us. We are peers with your father. We're peers with the man who wrote you in Proverbs 1 and said, listen to wisdom and avoid foolishness. He forsook the counsel of the elders, which they had given him, and he consulted with young men who grew up with him. He consulted his social circle of people that were not on the same path. What do you counsel me about this lighten the yoke which your father has put on us? The young men who grew up with him spoke to him, saying, thus you shall say to the people who spoke to you, your father made our yoke heavy. Now you make it lighter. Here's what you're going to say. My little finger is thicker than my father's loins. You're about to strut your stuff like a peacock. You are going to show out in front of them. Whereas my father loaded you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips. I will discipline you with scorpions. And he takes the advice of his peer circle, of his friends from his world, and he gets part of the kingdom. And Jeroboam gets the rest. Can you not imagine if it was possible for the phrase he rolled over in his grave to come true, how Solomon is turning in the grave. Son, I tried my best to save you. I tried my best to save the kingdom. I tried my best to impart wisdom to you. Don't run with the fools in this world, because it will cost you. And it takes 3 days from the time he's been named king for Rehoboam to find the wrong counsel and for it to destroy his kingdom. Listen to me. Back to Proverbs 1, back to Matthew 11, back to everything we've talked about all day long. The people we choose to surround us, populate our circle, be the influences in our life, can be the life or the death of us. And if we're not careful, our feet end up following their path rather than God's path. And we're no longer the influence. We're no longer the light in the world that we're supposed to be. And it will destroy us. Choose very carefully where you get your wisdom. Young people, wisdom does not come from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Google, Apple AI. All right? Those things are powered by the world. They cannot be your source of wisdom. Your friends cannot be your source of wisdom. Wisdom comes from God, passed down to us through the book and through wise men and wise women. Be careful where you walk and with whom you walk. And that's true for the rest of us adults as well. We're just as guilty. I heard on Google, or I heard on TikTok, or I heard on Fox News, or I heard on CNN. If you have to start it with I heard, and it's not fill in the blank with the Bible, question your sources, adults. Listen to what you're hearing and make sure that it is God truth, because it's the only truth that will judge us in the end. Look at your feet, look at the path, and look at the people walking it with you. And if they are not helping you get to heaven, if they're a hindrance, it's time to change as we stand and sing.